my attorney. Anyway, so let's get this panel started. Our Star Wars panel from Ahsoka. Ms. Lee Inosanto. I knew I was going to screw that up.
Oh my God. Inosanto.
It spilled water on the list.
Hi everyone. Hello. Oh, where do you want me? Right here?
Yeah. And Bo-Katan herself, Miss Katee Sackhoff.
Hi.
Yummy.
And he promises to spill all the beans on the new Mandalorian movie, Mr. Brandon Wayne. Don't worry, we got one more coming. He's just traffic.
He's
and
on
there
an
was,
adventure.
A bunch of clowns or something got loose. How y'all doing?
Fantastic.
Hi everyone. Hi. Hello.
Inosanto.
Lee Inosanto.
Diana Lee
Yeah, it's an
Inosanto.
Italian last name via the Philippines. I know. Inosanto. I don't know. It's
Inosanto.
crazy. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to give you some advice that I was given as an actor a long time ago, that if something twists your tongue, just slow down.
It's good
Are
tip.
you
right?
telling me I speak quickly? Because I do.
Well,
I know I do.
With a name like Diana, you have to, like, if you're tongue twisting, just and separate every word.
Yeah, we were already like 3 minutes late starting, so I just wanted to get, because I have another panel after this, which is a Star Wars trivia contest, by the way, if anyone wants to go to it. That's not self-promotion. I'm
It's a tongue
promoting here.
twister, though. It is.
So I always like to start the panel about the beginning of your careers and how you guys got into it. I always find it fascinating how people have different stories about how they got into acting and so forth. So Ben, I thought I'd start with you.
Oh, you want to start with me? Okay, so how did I get into Star Wars, or how did I just get in this business?
In the entertainment business in general.
Well, I actually, I come from a well-known martial arts family, so I was always kind of around the entertainment field. So let me start with that. My father's Djarin Inosanto, and my late godfather is Bruce Lee. So, and at the time growing up, I didn't know Uncle Bruce was going to be well known. He was just a martial artist who he and my dad would work out in the Chinatown school, and then Uncle Bruce started getting more gigs, and he would sometimes have my dad come aboard. One of them was on Green Hornet. So my dad would come in and do fight scenes for an Academy Award-winning actor named Mako at the time. And then later on, they did a film in Hong Kong called Game of Death. I don't know if any of you martial artists have seen that. So the big, the fight scene in the yellow jumpsuit. So that's kind of how I got around it. But my father's sister was also a stage actress, and her name was Lola Nye. And so I had a love of acting and doing action. And so in my early years, I found myself accidentally falling into stunt work because I couldn't get roles for my type. And then inevitably, somehow, I got the crazy idea to write, direct, and star in my own feature film because I was inspired by people like Jon Favreau. And then inevitably, that led 10 years later for me doing a film. Well, earlier, I did a film called The Sensei, and that led 10 years later for John and Dave Filoni discovering me to do Mandalorian, and here I am. So that's a kind of quick, kind of quick. It's weird how that all came to be. So sort of around the business, but not,
But the coolest takeaway there was, did you call him Uncle Bruce?
Oh, yes. Yeah, he
That's
was Uncle
cool.
Bruce. Yeah, for sure.
That's cool. Katee, how about you? How did you get into the acting world?
So I was an athlete growing up and got injured. And I was like super depressed sitting at home. And so my mom was like, you need to get out of the house. And she saw an ad in the paper to be Kirsten Dunst's body double in a Lifetime movie.
What?
Yeah, and so I was like, sure, I always wanted to act, but I grew up in a really small town, and you don't hear of anyone getting out unless they're an athlete. And so I went in and was too big. I was too tall and just bigger than Kirsten. But the casting director said, can you act? And I was like, yes. And she was like, well, we're auditioning a character tomorrow if you want to come back in for
You
that.
should speak slowly when you audition.
I
Just-
did.
That's my
It's
my
true.
advice. My advice to you
It's
as,
true.
as a non. As a,
It's
I am a
very
voice
true.
actor. I've done some voice acting
Yeah.
stuff.
And so I went home, and my mom helped me memorize like 2 monologues, and I went back the next day and got it, and it was pivotal to my career because it Taft-Hartley'd me into the union, which means that instead of having to build up hours and vouchers to get into the union, I was basically, they paid a fine to get me into the union because they had to hire some local actors. And then that director of that movie, so I only had 2 scenes in the whole movie, but the director of that movie convinced my mom to fly me to Los Angeles because he said there was something about me. And my mom flew me to California, and he introduced me to my manager and my agent and my lawyer, and the rest was sort of history.
History, destiny.
Yeah, and that director was a gentleman named Sam Pillsbury, who had directed the Free Willy movies. Just a really cool, really wonderful man. He and his wife, lovely, lovely people. And that's sort of how it started. And I was 16.
What were your sports?
I was a swimmer. Yeah, I was a swimmer. Yeah, very cool. And
Aquatic sports fans.
I played soccer all the way up to high school, but only because my swim coach let me do it for the conditioning.
All right, Brandon, how did you get into the, well, I guess you got kind of a long history.
Yeah.
I was
You're going to name drop someone
trying
big,
to
too.
avoid working for a living, so I decided to become an actor, and I bartended for 25 years. Those are all true things. But I grew up around the business. My grandfather was making movies long before I ever came along, and he beat me to Star Wars, a little known fact. Little bastard. Yep. He's a voice of...
Garindin.
Thank you,
The
Garindin.
Imperial spy from Mos Eisley.
Yeah.
Just here's the sound of that guy.
And they took a vocal. They used to have different tracks, and they put it on celluloid. And a guy, one of the Star Wars guys, found it. It was from Rooster Cogburn, and or True Grit, and he just elongated him, and he beat me to this. But I was floundering around trying to avoid doing anything that I really wanted to do because I didn't want to fail at it. I was an athlete. I played college basketball, and then I was sitting around. My mom looked at me and said, "You got to do something, son. You're 26 years old. You're killing me." And I said, you know what? I'm going to go into acting. And she had made it through 8 kids without anybody going into the business. And then I changed that. And she said, well, you're going to go learn. So I went to a theater school. I learned how to sing and dance, which was not my intention. Oh, yeah, which actually did come in handy. I did make some money dancing. Yeah.
Could we get a demonstration?
Yeah, I mean,
That would be cool.
you have cash? Make it rain and I'll dance.
Right here, buddy.
Yeah. But I went and I studied theater, and I didn't think I'd ever want to do theater. And when I was done, that's all I wanted to do. I still produce a play a year that my wife and I do. We love it. I fell in love with acting and telling stories. I always loved stories. I love movies. I didn't know I wanted to be an actor, really. And then Joss Whedon called me directly to producers. I had blind submitted. Usually you have an agent. I didn't have an agent. I had just sent a picture in to Angel, and he called me in. And this is how, the reason I'm telling this story is because this is how I knew I could act. Because the character I was reading for was a genius. And I got the part, and he Taft-Hartley'd me and got me in the business, and I thought, oh, I made it. I'm going to be a big star now. And then 3 years later, I got another job that I think was like $50 I made. So, yeah, I mean, I started late. I mean, I was 26 when I started training to be an actor. But I'd been around the business. My grandfather's John Wayne, if you didn't know.
I was going to say, when are you going to just... grandfather's John Wayne.
To answer any questions in that regard, I've never had a bad day being his grandson, and I'm very fortunate, and I'll always be fortunate for that. So, yeah.
As a side note, and being a former stunt woman, I knew so many people, particularly in the Filipino community, that loved working with your grandfather doing all those movies in the 40s and 50s. They just loved your granddad, championing him for work.
I think we all wanted, we know America's team. Everybody knows American football, yeah? So we know okay. That said, we don't have the Patriots today if we didn't have her father training what was back then the America's team. He literally went and trained the Cowboys. And I used to watch him going, that guy's so tiny and everything. He would go and teach these guys from like, what was his name? Randy White.
Randy White,
right?
yeah.
You know,
Doomsday
these guys who
defense.
might have been undersized but were fast. He taught them how to swim move, how to use it in the trenches. So like her pedigree and her beautiful movement that you see as an actress, that you see as the magistrate, comes from an incredible legend who we all have been affected by, whether we knew it or not, let alone, his ability to help train, the legendary Bruce Lee. So yeah, he was part of that lineage. So we're very lucky in that way, and Kirsten Dunst would be lucky to have Katee as her fucking body double.
Yes, absolutely.
She wishes.
So Diana Lee, what was it thinking of the choreographing of the work that you did there? What was it like working on? You first worked on The Mandalorian, season 2.
Yeah, which was
You guys had scenes together, right?
Yeah, I was with Brendan.
I'm literally the only Mandalorian you see
That's
in
the
that.
rhetorical question,
I
Brandon.
just
Why are you
like to
always so
point
mean
that
to me?
out. The reason I say that is because Dave moved the days of shooting of that so that I could be there for it. So yeah, I was lucky enough to work with Diana and Michael. That was really cool.
You realized that was her question, right?
Yeah, that's why I went away.
This is great.
You were under the
Went away.
impression that...
But you know what's so funny is when I first came to the set, one of the first people actually to greet me was Katee, because I felt like a kid in the cafeteria, that new girl in the school, and I was so nervous. I was absolutely nervous, but it was so great how we all kind of naturally had these amazing organic conversations, and just, this is when you know that Lucasfilm really has got that kind of family feel. So, but as far as you were asking me about choreography, or what was the question?
But the fighting and the
Yeah,
footwork.
I mean, listen, a lot of the stunt team there were students under my father, so they kind of crafted a fight scene that felt very natural to me. And then by the time I did my fight scene with Rosario, I mean, basically I was kind of improvising kind of different moments, and I was surprised that they would put it in there. But yeah, I was very open. Dave was always so open to any kind of changes and choreography that could enhance what we were doing, but it was truly an amazing moment to just have. And then with Brendan, it was great because I had met briefly with Pedro to do a table read, and then after that, what's incredible, what people don't know is that Brendan has to memorize all the lines, so I'm there in the moment, and so it's an interesting kind of orchestration of how it's all put together. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
All right, I guess we have a latecomer coming right now. Eman he's at the door. Are they getting him a mic? What are they doing?
I've got a mic.
Okay, you ready to go? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Eman Esfandi.
Hey, sorry I'm late. I got lost.
He was on an adventure.
I think this is the first time I've ever had an actor come on the stage, and we've never met. You and I have never.
What was your name?
My name's Kevin.
Kevin?
I will
Eman,
be,
nice
I
to
will
meet
be
you,
your
Kevin.
moderator for the next, whatever's left of this
Whatever's
panel.
left. Nice to meet you, Kevin.
Nice
Thanks
to
for
meet
having
you,
me.
too. Meet a Star Wars actor and get a hug within like 2 seconds. That's great. But we were, we just backtracking a little bit about our conversations. We were talking about how you got into acting, how you got into the entertainment business, and they gave some great answers. So
My turn?
They dropped huge names like Bruce Lee and John Wayne. So you're going to have to. What's going on? What are we looking at? What are we looking at?
I just see her all the time. She always dresses up. She's so cute.
Mackenzie.
Hello. I got into acting. I was doing an economics degree at the University of Texas at Austin. And I originally wanted to be a pro tennis player, which I'm back on actually now. I'm training for that. And that wasn't happening then. So I stopped. I started doing just school economics. And then I didn't like the degree plan towards the careers, consulting, iBanking, wealth management. That just didn't jive with me. And then I was just meeting people at coffee shops and asking them what they got as a job from an econ degree or whatever degree they got. And then I realized I was like kind of putting together this little crossroads project for when you get out of college. Did you get the job you planned to get, and are you happy? Or did you get something else, and are you happier with that? And I'm meeting people at coffee shops. One thing leads to another. And then a buddy of mine who had been an actor already said, you should go to this workshop by the Burtons, Kim and Brad Burton, who cast famously the Jake from State Farm. Khaki, I know. It's awesome. He apparently has a bar with his khakis on the wall, and it's Jake's bar. Isn't that funny? That's how he used the, like, you know. But anyway, and they had this really cool free workshop about auditioning, and one thing led to another. I volunteered. I was there really to meet the people, because my buddy told me that everyone at this workshop came from military, medical, law, teachers. Like, it's either people who wanted to get into acting or who were reigniting that passion. So there was kind of this interesting crossroads that we were all at, and I thought that would be an interesting, subject group for this project. But then I'm at the acting workshop, and I see people go up, and I'm like, that looks really cool. I feel like I could do that, but maybe I don't know. Maybe when you get up there, it's a lot harder. So I volunteered, and it went well, and the casting directors were really nice. And when I said thank you at the end, they were like, hey, I know it's a very cliche story. Hey, who's your agent? That kind of thing. I was like, oh, I've never acted in my life, man. Like, I'm here because Isaac sent me. Like, I'm kind of here for the people. And they were like, well, we like your look and your energy. If you want to send us a headshot. I'm like, I don't know what a headshot is. And they were like, just send us the best picture you have. I said, okay, cool. I'll send you a picture my friend just took of me recently at the graffiti park, like not a professional headshot at all. But they were so nice, and they met me already, so it didn't matter. And they put me in like an internal commercial for some company that week. No audition, nothing. Boom, straight to a commercial. And it paid $500 for 2 hours. And I was teaching tennis for like $30 an hour. I was on student loans, helping my family out at the time. So $500 in 2 hours was like the lottery. I was like, oh my God. I called my mom after. Mom, I figured it out. I swear to God, I said, Mom, I figured it out. I know how to make a lot of money fast. And she goes, how, mijito? I said, I'm going to be an actor. And she was like, yes, vas a ser una estrella. You're going to be a star, she said. And I was like, awesome, Mama, I think so. I know, long journey, but that's how I got into it.
What was the commercial?
It was like a software company, so it's not even like a public commercial. It was like internal use or on a website or something. I didn't even say a word. I just sat in a chair and pantomimed, which I learned on that day. Less, Eman. Perfect. Okay. Acting. Interesting job. That's how I got into acting.
So Brandon, we've done a lot of panels together. We did Nashville, we did Dallas, we did Colorado, and every time I would ask about the Mandalorian movie, and you'd be like, just like that, nothing. Nashville, Dallas, Colorado. We do the Colorado Springs Comic Con, which is the sister show of this show out there in Colorado. You guys should check it out. So as the panel ends and you guys start walking out, he looks to me and goes, oh, but I could talk about the trailer.
Yeah.
Well, then, like, why couldn't you? So fine.
I figured he'd do his homework. He is the moderator, as he's told us.
You specifically said you couldn't talk about. No, it's not the homework. I don't care who your grandfather is. So, to that being said, so without me, unless you want me to bring up parts of the trailer, can you talk about anything about the Mandalorian movie? Is Katee Sackhoff in it? Just kidding.
Did you see the trailer? All right, first of all, did we see the trailer? Did everybody see the trailer? Okay. So I can say a couple things for sure, which is, just so you know, we're going back to what we were in a lot of ways, in that we're back to our action adventure. And me and this little green fella are out there having fun and kind of tearing up the galaxy in a lot of ways. And as I think Jeremy Allen White was talking about going and doing his, see if I can use other people blabbing, then I can kind of stay below the radar here. But I think he was talking about how it's like a buddy cop movie in Star Wars, much like we did the Western. And that'll always be there with me. But we're looking at a really fun adventure and a lot of good times. I get some old, standbys, like this little chain here I got from Rock Love with my Razor Crest. We've all seen the Razor Crest back.
Is it a new Razor Crest? Can you say anything about
No, I
it? Is it
cannot
the old
say
one?
that.
What?
Well, it's not the old one. It got absolutely destroyed along with my Beskar spear.
You hear that?
Darth Maul got cut in half and fell down a tunnel that was so long you couldn't see the bottom of it.
That's a really good point. So I say this we were season 1, and I remember they were going to kill Fennec. And I'm like, you can't kill Fennec. Like, dude, that's my girl. I need Ming, please. Like, Ming and Carl, those, God rest his soul, like, those were my rocks. And, they were pretty much, other than Gina, were like the only live action people in it. It was me and my animatronic kid and about 7 guys with remote controls making a move, which was hilarious, who all smell like sausage. Seriously, you have no idea. Like that intimate moment when Grogu's climbing under my bandolier in the ship, and he's, flying, and I tell him about, you got to really, to be a Mandalorian, you got to know where you are at all times. So there's a guy who's about 6'4", about 240 pounds, and he sweats a lot, and he's got fat fingers, and he's puppeting the kid right here. And I got a helmet that just collects everything. And I'm like, Mike, what did you eat today? But back to it. Just a side note behind the scenes there with Michael. No, I mean, like, the movie we've seen Zeb in the trailer.
Is that a...
Just so you guys know, there's a fella who plays the physical Zeb. They're going to do CGI, obviously, in a lot of ways. His name's Matt Leonard. His father is a legendary director, second unit director, stuntman, Terry Leonard, who did the Climb Under on Indiana Jones. His first movie he ever worked on was Rio Lobo with my grandfather, John Wayne. And so to see it come around again and to work with, the grandkids of these legends, it's pretty awesome. He plays Zeb, and his name is Matt Leonard. He played at Stanford, and he was a Jacksonville Jaguar defensive end.
This
He's
is
a
Ox,
monster.
right? Ox?
Yes,
Yeah,
Ox.
Ox was one of our stunt guys, too, for Ahsoka.
He does all the boys' stunts. He's incredible. Incredible. So you see Zeb. Story-wise, let's get into it. Nope.
So the Zeb, is it CGI? Is it the guy in a CGI suit, or is he wearing Zeb's clothing?
He wears the clothing and does like me. When you're in the suit, you're doing all the lines, you're doing everything, you're doing all the acting, and he did, and it's the first time he's ever done it, and he was, he was like, hey, oh, and then they're just so sometimes dismissive. It's hilarious, and I had to tell him not to snap at one point because they're like, no, it's okay, whatever, and he's like, no, I worked on this, and they're like, oh, okay, and then he was fantastic, so it was great. Like Ox is. These guys, like, you would love being on the set, not just because we're all fans, but because everybody on the set somehow is a fan. And I mean, like, to the point where my grip is like, hey, you can't do that in Star Wars. I'm like, bitch, I'm creating this character. I can do whatever the hell I want. And he's like, no, you can't. And, like, I was getting corrected. It was pretty incredible.
Katee, do you have anything to say about The Mandalorian?
Why, did you see her in the preview?
No, I'm not saying anything.
You didn't see me in the preview?
No.
I don't know.
Did any of you?
What
Did I
I
miss
can-
something?
what
Did
I-
I? Whoa, I'm not
What I
kidding. Did I miss
can
something?
say is that you haven't seen The Last of Bo. That's it. That's it.
So you can say that, because this is like the third interview I tried to get something out of you.
But you guys, that doesn't mean it means that maybe I'll be on the side of a Wheaties box. You have no idea. She's not dead, so
No.
you never know
She
where
is
she's going to
leaving
be.
Mandalore
Did you have any inspiration for her when you brought in the character? I guess yours was a little different because you'd already done her in animation, so you had several dozen, if not 100 lines already in the past, so you already had a good idea what this character was like. But where did you get the inspiration for your performance with Bo-Katan?
For live action, Bo?
For live action, and I was going to have that same question for all of you guys and gal.
So it was, I knew her so well. You know, I'd already played her for so many years. I knew her, you know, to a certain extent better than Dave did. Like, I knew a lot about her. He and I would text about her and her backstory a lot. And so I didn't do the work, you know, and when you say the work as an actor, you mean like the work. Like, I didn't open up my journal and break down my scenes and work on who the character was and figure out what made her tick. I didn't do the work because I'd done it. So I got there on my first day, and I was like dressed, and I looked at myself in the mirror and went, oh God, I don't even know how she moves. I had no idea. I had never played her before. So I was like, what do I do? And luckily it was Bryce Dallas Howard's episode, and so she and myself and B was there, and Kosko was in that scene, and Dave and John was there, and John and Bryce spent so much time on set, and this was when I knew that like this show is different, and we take time. Like normally in television, you're shooting 8 pages a day. On Mandalorian, you shoot 1 some days. Some days it takes you 2 days to shoot 1 page. Like you move slow, so you've got the time to do it. And they sat there and they really. So John would say things like, okay, do this one like a mob boss now. Okay, do this one like you're a scared little girl. Do this one like you're just so curious. Do this one like you just got in a fight with your mom. Do this one like, and so we were playing until we found her. And
you did this with Bryce?
With Bryce as well, yeah.
Well, we should get her. Hey, Frank, can you go get her?
Exactly.
She's here.
She's a wonderful director, by the way. I love working with Bryce. But so that's sort of how I found her, and my motivation was just not to mess up. Sorry, there's kids in here. Was just to not frack up. What had already been established. I wanted her to exist in Mandalorian and not be jarring to the people who didn't know what Clone Wars was, but also, you know, be like a homecoming for the people who knew who she was. So there was like this fine line that I was like walking in season 2. And then in season 3, when I realized that I was in every episode, I was like, well, I'm gonna do whatever I want now. And I did, and I had a lot of fun. And there were scenes where B and I would be in the scene and they would be like, Katee, I really think you should do this one this way. And I would be like, no. Like I'll try it, but I completely disagree with you. There was a scene with the one in the front of the ship, which I think is one of my favorite scenes with us, where they were reluctant to let Bo go to this emotional place because she's a warrior. And I was like, she has to go there. She needs to go to this place. I need her to go to this place as the person who's played her for 10 years. Like, I need to see her crack. And they were very reluctant to let me go to that place.
She's so vulnerable in that moment that she had to. Even with the layers, you were so good about layering her. If you think about it, at the end of the ship, we're sitting there talking, and she's like, I don't know if I can do this. And I tell her, I will follow you till your songs are sung.
It's my favorite line.
And that whole thing, and there's that moment, and she was just so layered of like, whereas maybe I'd be just in tears, like I can't lead. You could feel it, and it allowed the audience to go feel their own way on it about where she was, and she was incredible about it. I remember her fighting for that right, and from season 2, when I first worked with her on Jedi, when Ahsoka was introduced, to then was an incredible journey, because if you look at Bo, Katee's idea that she was in a big struggle or whatever it was, that's her personal journey as an actor. As somebody who was experiencing it, I didn't feel it. And I saw a confidence and a level of ownership and talent that was off the books, and Bo's struggle is to find out who she is. And that Katee was just living it, and sometimes that can overwhelm other people, but she was so great about it. And to watch her find her swagger, to watch her, you know, just end up being such an incredible example of a strong lead character, whether it's a woman or a man, was really cool. And to know that I could stand next to her and we weren't in any way diminished was really nice, because I clearly love Mando and I love his strength. He might be the stupidest guy in the universe. He's always like, hey, hold my kid, I gotta go fight. But yeah, Katee's exceptional, and her journey in her character, I can tell you from my experience outside of it, was a beautiful, awesome thing to watch. And then to see the final product was even more incredible for me.
Woo! Absolutely.
Eman, how did you get into character for Ezra? What kind of did you do some research? Did you call me? What'd you do?
Wait, before
I
you
called
answer
you, you
that,
didn't
I
answer.
gotta ask you a question in that same vein, which is,
Knew you were gonna interrupt.
Ezra is a huge character. I was dying to see what it was gonna be. Did you have any idea what you were doing walking in? Like, did you know the what you were walking into? Yeah.
The scale of it? No, I could never have known. You can't know. And also, I didn't grow up on Star Wars. It didn't reach my corner of the galaxy. So I just knew about it, pop culturally, you know. I was like, okay, I know Star Wars exists, but I didn't think it was my thing, and I thought maybe it was too late or something. You know, I was like, oh, I didn't watch it growing up. It's not my thing. And and then even when you know, I had this interesting spiritual experience with Ezra, where basically the easiest way to put it is Ezra as a Force ghost came and was like, hey man, we're gonna do this thing. I was like, all right, dude, you're a Jedi. Sounds good to me. You're a cartoon. And he was like, yeah, but I'm pretty real to the people in my universe, and I'm also more real to more people in your universe than you are. I was like, damn, bro. All right, Ezra, you gotta flex on me. And so I had this interesting, like, spiritual experience with Ezra, and then I sent some pictures to my agent and manager. This is like 6 months before anything was public about casting for Ezra. I had quit acting, actually, at the time. I wasn't even an actor.
Wait. This happened before?
Yeah, he had like this weird.
You should watch the
premonition.
episode of my podcast, because we talk all about it.
We deep dive it on the Katee Sackhoff show. Yo, it's crazy. It's honestly a crazy story. But I'm not gonna get it. Huh?
So you sent in.
You want to hear it?
Just use the mic. Just use the mic. You can interrupt me. Just use the mic when you do it.
I love this. I'm like you guys.
No,
like, I'm a
man.
huge fan. I'm
Man.
a fan of his work. So to hear that this is the process, this is amazing.
I mean, look, I won't. I do think it's worth listening to the deep dive on our show,
Yeah.
on her show that I'm on. But as far as like actually getting ready to play the role, right? So I'm jumping the part that you really want to hear. But once I got the role, 6 months later, I got this anonymous audition, whatever. I book it. The next day they call me. Hey, you got it. All right, cool. I'm not crazy, you know. Ezra did show up. But then when it came to getting ready, doing the work like Katee was saying, I had quit acting, pretty much. And so I was like not the same actor I was. I wasn't trying to do all that stuff anymore. It didn't feel right to me anymore. It didn't feel like I had begun making music. And acting to me became more like music. It was like, oh, this is sheet music, and I'm the instrument, and it will play. And I just need to be in a good state and tuned for the music to just flow. So I felt very relaxed about it. And then once I did research on because before I played Ezra, I didn't watch Rebels, which I know sounds like tricky territory for Star Wars fans. I get it, but luckily it worked out. And Dave sent me 5 episodes, an episode per character that I'm connected to. So Ahsoka, Hera, Chopper, Sabine, Kanan, rest in peace. And so I watched those, and I got I got the idea of his relationships. And then I started studying Jedis, which I realized a lot of the Jedi code comes from Eastern philosophy, Eastern ideology. There's even some biblical references. May the Force be with you, may peace be upon you. Like, there's so many overlaps with religions and ideologies that I'd learned about, and I was like, wait a minute. I practice all these things in my regular life. This is what being a Jedi is. This is so cool. And then I learned more, right? So I was really connected to it already. It felt very close. But as far as playing Ezra, Ezra Bridger is such a similar protagonist to ones that I loved. He had like a little bit of everybody I loved. I loved Goku growing up, Gohan, Vegeta, everyone. I loved Naruto. I loved Pokemon. I loved Yu Yu Hakusho. Like, I loved all these specific animes. Thank you. Shout out to the anime lovers. And these characters were like, and Luffy from One Piece, like, they were like these goofy, funny, almost like airheaded characters who were also the hero. They were so valiant and noble and honest, and it was just like, you know, it felt like all my time watching anime in secret, because it was something you shouldn't have, you know, it wasn't cool back then, just so y'all know. You guys love it, you guys celebrate it, but in Texas back then, if you were found out to watch anime, you were an outcast. So I didn't tell anybody. So all my secret time watching these, you know, Japanese cartoons, my dad was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "It's really good, I swear it's really good." It almost like all came into Ezra. And it was like, oh, this is natural. I know these characters, I know these moments, I know these beats, I know these jokes. And then everything that is action and power and cool and confidence, I feel like I gathered from the stunt training, and I gathered from working with people like Rosario and Diana, and everyone on our cast was so vetted and professional and like just walking in their power that it was kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like sink or swim too, right? Like, I'm like, everyone else is on their shit, I'm just gonna go for it. And fortunately it lined up really well, and it felt really good. So I'm really grateful.
That's cool. Diana, I was gonna ask the same question for your prep.
I have a little bit of jet lag coming from Australia. What was the question? I'm sorry.
About preparing for Morgan Elsbeth, you know, how'd you get into
Preparing
character?
for Morgan. For me, it was.
And that incredible fight scene you had with Ahsoka, if you want to bring that one
Oh,
up. With,
yeah. Well, actually, in a way, it's weird that the first time I ever saw Star Wars was when I was a kid. And it's weird that my dad, after we saw it, he goes, "Wouldn't it be amazing if there could be a fight scene with 2 lightsabers?" So as a kid, he went and bought these plastic lightsabers. They were like telescopic. And so sometimes he would give me my martial arts lessons with 2 plastic lightsabers as a kid. Isn't that crazy? Almost like he was like, it's like a fortune teller. So I remember when I was doing my fight scene with Rosario, and I'm seeing her on the bridge when we did the Mandalorian episode of The Jedi, I started remembering my dad training me with 2 lightsabers, and it's just so weird that I'm in this space. And talk about maybe the Force, maybe it does really work. And but as far as preparation as an actress, luckily I had a theater company that I was involved with, and I actually got to do this thing where I played Julius Caesar. I know that sounds weird. So when I auditioned for Morgan Elsbeth, I saw aspects of Julius Caesar and a little bit of Catherine the Great, and I just said, I'll just inject this right here. And for whatever reason, I added a mid-Atlantic accent, and it worked. And oh my God, when I got the call 4 days later, I cried because I thought, this is unbelievable, especially at my age, to be cast later in life and to have a big break like this later in life is an absolute miracle. Whoop! Thank you.
Well, that's one of the, sorry, just to add on to that, that was one of the coolest things about Mandalorian was Ahsoka, is that like all of the women were like in their 40s.
That's right.
We were all like 40s and up.
Yes, that's right. And also the fight I did with Rosario, it was the first live action fight scene between 2 women, from what I understand. So I was just like, wow, In Star Wars, that's what I was told. Yeah.
Not in overall.
Yeah, in Star Wars.
Because I've seen a bunch of women fight.
No, live action. Yeah, right. I get it.
I have a house full of women. That's all. It's just me and a bunch of women.
Interesting.
It's
that live action.
Yeah, live
He's
action.
Terminator 1, 2,
Thunderdome up in
in
here.
Star Wars, I think it's specific.
We're coming to the end, and I was wondering, do you think we can get because we didn't have time to do questions to the audience because we started a little late. So in lieu of that, do you think we could take a little snapshot for us in the audience?
Yeah.
Ooh, I love
okay
that.
with y'all?
And then, but before we do that, I want to thank you all for coming here. This was really great talking to all of you. Thanks for coming late, but it's okay.
Thanks.
I love you,
Thanks,
and I
man.
forgive you. Ladies
Thank you guys so much.
So
You
these guys will be
hey,
here for the rest of the
Kevin,
weekend signing in the
There
booth.
was one person who threw his hand up so fast when he wanted to ask a question. I think we should have just one. I'm sorry.
They
Blame
get
it
mad
on
at me,
me.
not you. So
Blame
you can
it
do
on me.
Good.
Blame it on
so
me.
Katee Sackhoff's got you.
That's
hey,
so
hey, say my fault.
Hi.
cool.
Your hand went up so fast. You win the
I
Price
know,
is
I was
Right.
noticing his hand.
The question was to Brendan. What was harder, filming The Mandalorian or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Ah, wow, he pulled that one out of the bag, huh? None of them, honestly, I'll just tell you right now, none of them are hard because I've never loved anything more than being able to, first of all, I'm going to tell you right now, thank you all, because without you, no matter what, without you, I don't get to play Mando. I don't get to be in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't get to do any of that if you guys don't care, if you guys don't watch. And so as much as you're like, oh, it's so cool to meet you, it's so much better for me because I don't have a job and I'm a late bloomer in this business. I mean, I was still bartending through season 1 and season 2. I didn't trust this business. I was 46. I had a kid in college. I wasn't messing around. So I want you all to know, thank you, because without you, we don't get to do the cool thing, which is throwing on the helmet, fighting your buddies, having them build sets as big as this room for you to run around in all day. So I never have a bad day or a tough day. Some I may sweat a little more than others, but other than that, man, it is awesome. And generally speaking, I'm always messing around, as you can tell.